the beginning, this was strange. It happened in Dundee. It's a classic neighborhood, the heart of Omaha. Violent crime does not happen in Dundee. The mundane world of after school, and then it's just shattered by a monster.
I remember walking in their front door into this very nice home. There's a little boy lying face down in a very large pool of blood.
You know, you think of Tommy Hunter, and you can't imagine what the last few seconds of his life were like.
Smart kid, loves science, math. Every parent's son.
And then as you walk through the house and you get to the back door, you see this large pool of blood. This lady who had very evidently been pushed down to the ground and attacked.
Shirley Sherman, grandma, gentle soul, hardworking.
To have anybody murdered is a shock to the community, but to have an 11-year-old boy and a housekeeper killed in the manner they were, I think is a whole nother level.
There didn't appear to be anything missing in the house.
No robbery.
No, there was no readily explainable reason behind what you see.
On that day, one of the neighbors happened to notice a car that she wasn't familiar with.
It was a fleeting glance at him and his vehicle. Silver Honda CR-V. Things went cold after the first couple months.
How frustrated were you getting?
Incredibly, I don't even know if I can put it into words.
Beautiful Mother's Day. Tragedy strikes again.
Dr. Roger Brumback and his wife, Mary,
Yeah.
murdered.
Detective, do you remember the first time you walked into this house?
I do.
What did it look like?
The aftermath of an incredibly brutal murder.
Roger Brumback devoted portions of his medical career to childhood disease and then to Alzheimer's. Mary Brumback could not have had an enemy in the world.
When you walk through that first door, Scott and I had a real definitive moment after we walked through that house where we're like, you know, I've seen these things before, specifically with the wounds to the right side of the neck. You don't see a lot of knifings or stabbings that are like that.
When had the last time been that you had seen stabbings like that?
It was 2008 with Thomas and Shirley.
The mindset at that point was, there's a connection here.
Light bulb must have gone off very brightly.
It's incredible on so many levels. You can't help but be touched by the innocence of all of these victims. And then it's in peaceful neighborhoods on beautiful days. This is a once-in-a-lifetime type story.
Omaha, Nebraska, a proud beacon of America's Midwest, spreading out from the majestic banks of the Missouri River, home of the College World Series, and Warren Buffett, rich enough to live anywhere he chooses.
My take on Omaha overall is it's a terrific place to live.
According to Todd Cooper, court reporter for the Omaha World Herald, the secret heartbeat of this town is Creighton Medical Center.
It resonates throughout the community. You can't go anywhere without running into someone who is Creighton born and bred.
How long was your career at Creighton?
40 years.
Doctors Shonda and Agendra Butra loved and respected their Creighton colleagues.
You both knew Dr. Hunter.
Yes. His office is right next to my office.
The Butras were close friends with Doctors Bill and Claire Hunter, the parents of 11-year-old Thomas.
What were they like?
Nice people.
Dedicated to their hospital.
He was very well loved by residents and students.
The Hunters and their 4 children lived here, a handsome home in that upscale, close-knit neighborhood known as Dundee.
It's a classic neighborhood. Neighbors in each other's business, common areas where kids play.
March 13, 2008, Dr. Claire Hunter was attending a conference in Hawaii, and Bill was busy at the pathology lab. The school bus camera captures Tom arriving home.
Smart kid, loved to play Xbox, drink Dr. Pepper, eat potato chips.
Tom Hunter, a very bright, very normal 6th grader. His 3 older brothers already out of the house. Waiting for Tom, the Hunters' part-time housekeeper, Shirley Sherman.
When you think of your mom, what are some of the words that come into mind?
Mother, caregiver, grandmother, nurturer.
For her son Jeff and her younger brother Brad, Shirley was the rock-solid, hard-working centerpiece of their extended family.
Anytime you'd go over there, first thing she'd always want to do is make sure she had coffee. And you want something to eat, I'll fix you something.
Tom grabbed a snack and settled into this basement playroom with his chips, soda, and his Xbox. 5 o'clock, Dr. Hunter left his pathology lab at Creighton and began the 10-minute ride home.
He came home from work, immediately walking in the back door, and he encountered Shirley.
And just a few feet away lay his son, Tom. The doctor knew immediately it was too late for an ambulance.
He called 911. They told him to get out of the house and wait for first responders to come.
Detective Derek Moyce, 19 years with the Omaha PD, and his partner, Sergeant Scott Warner, describe a crime scene that would consume and haunt them.
Incredibly sad scenario.
Just the manner and the brutality of it.
And in the basement, cops found that still life of Tom's world interrupted by madness.
His Xbox was online, and you could see his bag of chips and his Dr. Pepper.
Not surprisingly, it was evident Shirley had been hard at work.
You see her bucket of cleaning supplies just kind of dropped haphazardly right where Thomas was.
Tom Hunter and Shirley Sherman had been stabbed to death. And as if sending some dark, raging, homicidal message, knives had been left in the victims and around the house. But what was the motive for murder?
Something's just not adding up here. My mom had $833 in cash in her purse. It wasn't even touched.
The Hunters have a lot of valuables there. None of that appeared to have been touched.
I imagine the community must have been unglued.
I think a city as a whole, an 11-year-old boy doesn't get killed in his home. It just doesn't happen.
For Detectives Moyce, Warner, and the other investigators, the horror of these gut-wrenching murders would soon be paired with a deep frustration. The crime scene left them little to go on. No DNA, no motive, no apparent suspects.
One of the neighbors happened to notice a car that she wasn't familiar with.
That was the first clue, and it would one day prove critical. The neighbor's sighting of a silver Honda SUV with out-of-state plates prowling the streets of Dundee.
It caught her attention not only because of the car, but watching an individual that had exited the car take a satchel and then walk northbound on this street.
Moyce and Warner played out one scenario after the next.
And it occupied our lives every day. And when I say every day, I mean all day.
Was Shirley the target? Might Tom have attracted an online predator to his basement playroom?
Was there something that had occurred online over his gaming, over a computer?
And there was Creighton itself. Were the murders a gruesome act of vengeance by a disgruntled former employee targeting Tom's parents, the Hunters? Detectives briefly considered this man, Dr. Anthony Garcia, a former resident in the pathology program. Bill Hunter had fired Garcia back in 2001, but
Bill Hunter dismissed Anthony Garcia when they brought up his name in an interview. Now, he got fired, but he left quietly.
every lead seemed like a dead end, leaving nothing but shattered families.
You just can't put it out of your mind. We did not want it to just go away, disappear.
They want answers, and the only people they can really turn to is us.
Was there ever a point for either of you where you thought, we're just never going to find out who did this?
Sure.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah, there was. It was clear to us that Thomas had been attacked first.
The horrific crime scene in the Hunter house in Dundee gave investigators plenty to puzzle over and think through.
We just didn't see anything that would have precipitated the murders. Even after a couple of weeks into the investigation, we didn't know if Thomas was the intended victim, if it was Shirley, if it was the Hunter house, the Hunters themselves, or if it was a completely random act.
Moyse and Warner kept grinding and getting nowhere.
It was a mystery for years.
Let's talk about Mother's Day, 2013.
We took a couple and we took them out for Mother's Day brunch, and they're older people, and he was with a walker.
That Mother's Day, fate brushed the Butras, and it all started after that brunch with their slow-moving elderly guest.
He took forever to get to his car, and Dr. Butra's husband ribbed him at the time and said, "You are killing us here, like you are taking forever."
The irony being he actually may have been saving their lives.
Yeah.
The Butras, both doctors at Creighton, finally began their short drive home when they got a call. Their burglar alarm was going off.
So I went to the basement. This door was open about an inch, pushed it back in.
The door was ajar, but nothing was out of place. They had no idea how lucky they were. Cops say the intruder moved on just a few miles down the road to the home of Dr. Roger Brumback and his wife, Mary.
Roger Brumback was in his old clothes, painting the entryway of his house, getting it ready to sell.
They were moving away. They were going to retire.
They were on the cusp of what we all work for. And they had talked to their daughter via FaceTime. His daughter cracked a joke. She screenshot it.
It was shortly after that FaceTime chat that Creighton doctor Roger Brumback answered a knock at the door.
And boom. Just immediately shot.
It would be 2 days before anyone knew the extent and the nature of the carnage inside the Brumbacks' home.
We showed up to move a piano here and nobody answered the door.
Jason Peterson, a piano mover, showed up as scheduled.
And I opened up the front glass door to yell inside hello, and that's when I seen a gun clip on the floor.
Like a magazine.
A magazine on the floor.
The piano mover called the cops.
There's a gun clip and some bullets on the floor. I just think there's something going on in this house.
That day, detectives Derek Moyse and Scott Warner just happened to be on call.
We walked through that front door. There was the loaded magazine that the movers had spotted. He also found a spent shell casing stuck between the double doors. And just beyond that in the entryway was Roger Brumback, where you could see he had gunshot wounds. We would also see very evident stab marks on the right side of his neck, just below his right ear. And inside the main living room area of that main floor, and that's where we would find Mary Brumback. She had very clear defensive wounds on her hands, which were indicative of her trying to put up a defense. And we had knives that were left in that crime scene.
The carnage just inside the front door of the Brumbach's house was shocking, even for longtime homicide detectives. But there was something else about the crime scene that hit them almost instantly, a sickening familiarity.
Specifically with the wounds to the right side of the neck. And when I saw those, both on the male victim and on the female victim, you don't see a lot of knifings or stabbings that are like that.
The wounds were a mirror image to those suffered by Tom Hunter and Shirley Sherman in 2008.
And then you find out the victim worked as a doctor at Creighton's medical school.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Then you two must look at each other and say, we can't ignore this. We got something here.
Oh, no.
Roger Brumbach was not only a doctor at Creighton, but he worked out of the same office as Tom Hunter's father, Bill, the pathology department. Roger Brumbach was chairman, and Bill Hunter was in charge of the residence.
We knew we had these similarities in the crime scenes and the weapons that were used in this connection to the pathology department.
The cold case that had mystified Omaha for 5 frustrating years was heating up.
Your mind's going a million miles an hour. You consciously have to make yourself slow down.
The next day, cops got a call from the Butras telling detectives about that alarm that went off at their home on Mother's Day, the same day the Brumbachs were believed to have been murdered.
We have Dr. Hunter,
whose son Tom had been murdered in 2008.
We have Dr. Brumbach,
who had just been gunned down in his doorway.
And now Dr. Butra,
a colleague of Doctors Hunter and Brumbach in Creighton's pathology department.
Who are they in a position to affect the most? And the obvious answer was, of course, the residents at that pathology training program.
And from that point on, that's what we looked at.
We went to Creighton University and we pulled the files from every resident within that program starting, I think, in 2000.
And one of the files you got belonged to Anthony Garcia.
Mm-hmm.
Anthony Garcia. Omaha police had heard his name before. That Creighton pathology resident the cops had barely considered back in 2008. He had been fired, and Garcia's professor in the pathology department, Dr. Shonda Butra.
What kind of student was he?
Bad guy and a bad student.
And Dr. Butra didn't hold back on her feelings in several performance reviews she prepared for Bill Hunter.
I was trying very hard to convince Bill to get rid of him, yes.
And that's exactly what happened. Hunter and Brumbach fired Garcia. His letter of termination began to look like a smoking gun.
And the signatures are Dr. William Hunter and Dr. Roger Brumbach?
Mm-hmm. Correct.
So in his mind, if he's trying to figure out who's responsible for his termination, he's thinking of 3 people: Brumbach, Hunter, and Butra.
Yes.
Every time Anthony Garcia is looking for a job, this letter signed by Brumbach and Hunter
kind of seemingly was coming back to haunt him.
Where does this case, where is it in terms of your frontal lobe?
It's ever present. It's at the forefront, for sure.
It's been a constant since 2008.
2 sets of murders 5 years apart with a common thread: Creighton University.
I always felt there was something to do with Creighton.
Meanwhile, Detective Derek Moyse was learning as much as he could about former Creighton resident Anthony Garcia.
After I got the Garcia book, every time I turned a page, I was learning something new that I felt was relevant, that I felt was going to carry me on to the next step.
For Moyse, Garcia was looking more and more like his #1 suspect, but an unlikely one.
Anthony Garcia, who is he?
You know, a decidedly middle class kid, played football, grew up in Walnut, California.
Walnut, California is a place where dreams really do come true. A pristine suburb in a golden valley about an hour east of Los Angeles.
It was a loving home. We were encouraged to, do the right thing.
Fernando Garcia is Anthony's younger brother, keenly aware of what his family has accomplished.
My mom was born in Mexico and came here, and, my dad was born here. My dad fought in Vietnam. They didn't have a lot. They were able to achieve, the American dream.
For Fred, who worked for the post office, and Estella, a registered nurse, a cornerstone of their dream was their firstborn child, Anthony.
He was healthy, playful. He played football.
What kind of student was Anthony?
He was good. He was a good student. He was an altar boy.
Who wanted to get along with people, not confrontational.
There was college in California and then med school in Utah.
He wanted to be a brain surgeon.
You must have been enormously proud.
Of course,
oh, yes.
Yes. Uh-huh.
Then in 1999 came a journey most parents only dream of.
His dad described packing all of Anthony's belongings into a van and driving cross country, father and son. Dad couldn't have been prouder.
Father and son were headed here, Bassett St. Elizabeth's in Utica, New York. It would be Anthony Garcia's first residency, and it didn't go well.
I did not know he was having trouble.
Garcia's professors accused him of behaving unprofessionally, including yelling at a radiology technician. Under pressure, Garcia resigned, and the firstborn son headed back home.
When he came back, he was not the same. He looked very tired, almost exhausted.
But he wasn't giving up. And in July of 2000, Anthony Garcia got what few residents ever do, a second chance.
I was happy he was getting a job.
That's when Garcia began his residency in the pathology department at Creighton.
Academically, he was very poor.
But there was much more than poor academics.
Pranking a chief resident, rolling a body onto its face so that it becomes disfigured. He would write emails to Dr. Hunter complaining about Dr. Butra. I mean, this guy was a child cloaked with a medical degree.
Then in 2001, after multiple incidents and those bad performance reviews by Dr. Butra, Creighton had its fill of Anthony Garcia.
What does it mean for a resident to be terminated?
Pretty serious.
It pretty much ends your medical career.
Anthony Garcia headed home once again.
He said it didn't work out.
Did he complain about the people?
He did not complain about the people.
No, he
That's
didn't
the thing.
complain about
He never
anything.
complained
I don't
about
recall.
anybody.
Those who knew and still love him believe Anthony struggled with depression and migraine headaches and was overwhelmed by the rigorous work required to fulfill his American dream of becoming a doctor.
I can see that taking a toll on somebody psychologically, emotionally. And
Did you get the sense at all that Anthony felt he had failed? Not at all.
I think he was adamant about continuing with that career.
And miraculously, in 2003, Anthony Garcia got a third chance. Working as a resident at the University of Illinois Hospital, he somehow managed to get a medical license to practice in the state of Illinois.
But for the state of Illinois, this guy does not have a medical license anywhere.
For the next few years, Anthony Garcia bounced around the country working where he could. Clinics, even a prison hospital. With every new state he moved to, Garcia had to apply for a medical license there. And those who had the authority to grant that license would learn of his dismissal from Creighton. And each time, he would pay a price for his past.
To get licensure in another state, they would be sending Creighton University very specific requests about Anthony Garcia's time at Creighton University. And those responses were not
positive?
They were not positive. It doesn't take a detective or even a physician to read those as a layperson and say, that's not going to help him get licensure or a job.
Investigators discovered that in February 2008, Garcia was living in Louisiana. The state denied his application for a medical license, due in part to his termination from Creighton. Less than 3 weeks later, Tom Hunter and Shirley Sherman were brutally murdered. The pieces of Anthony Garcia's past were coming together in front of Moyse and Warner. But could they place him in Dundee in 2008, on the day of Tom and Shirley's murder? Moyse wondered what kind of car Garcia was driving back then, so he checked his reports.
And I remember it was on page 11 of that report that between July of 2007 and July of 2009, Anthony Garcia had a Honda CR-V registered to him at a Shreveport, Louisiana address.
After discovering the make and model, Moyse ran the VIN number to get the color.
And it came back as a silver Honda CR-V.
It was 2013. The slaughter of 4 innocent people over the course of 5 years had left Omaha staggered and searching for answers.
This is something that really had upset the community, the city, the region.
It evolved into something so much bigger than any of us were used to.
But its origin was right here.
The pathology department at Creighton University Medical Center, where Dr. Brumbach was the head of the department and Dr. Hunter was in charge of the residents. It was also here, investigators allege, that Anthony Garcia developed his twisted motive for murder.
It's unfathomable. A grudge that festers for 7 years before the first killings and 12 years before the second set of killings, that's unheard of.
A grudge that wouldn't quit. Revenge for being fired was the motive. The theory of the case Moyse and Warner began to build. But Fernando Garcia, Anthony's younger brother, wasn't buying it.
There's been millions of people fired who don't come back and kill somebody.
And by 2013, Garcia was long gone from Omaha, living 500 miles away in Terre Haute, Indiana. He had been fired again, this time from that job as a medical worker in a prison. Still, he had a Ferrari in his driveway and appeared to be living the high life. But that wasn't the information cops craved.
I needed to find out where he was on May 12th, 2013.
The day Roger and Mary Brumbach were murdered. Garcia's electronic records lit up the trail.
We have this phone call accessing a cell tower in Atlantic, Iowa, which is only an hour away from Omaha. He had made a purchase at a Wingstop restaurant in Omaha.
And Anthony Garcia was caught on camera just outside Omaha buying a case of Bud Light that very same day.
At this point, do you have a suspect you want to arrest?
Yes.
Detectives headed for Garcia's Terre Haute home, but when they got there, he was nowhere to be found.
Our concern was that he was leaving Terre Haute and he was headed south towards Louisiana.
Where there were other people that you felt he perceived had wronged him?
Yes.
Cops feared Garcia was out to kill again. Omaha detectives were now working with nearby law enforcement agencies and the FBI. And at 8:30 a.m., Illinois State Police spotted Garcia's car. He was pulled over, drunk and on his knees in the middle of the road. Anthony Garcia was arrested. In his car, a crowbar, a sledgehammer, and a gun.
We got a call that he was in custody.
And what did that sound like?
Relief.
Yeah.
With Garcia under arrest, cops entered his house in Terre Haute.
It was barren. It didn't look like somebody planned on on really coming back.
Omaha detective Ryan Davis got the first look into a dark and conflicted world through Garcia's chilling words. We live, we die. We live, we die.
On top of the dining room table are all of these documents. I would call them documents of success. A medical degree, a deed to his house, and then he's got this bag, this trash bag in his kitchen sink.
Inside the trash bag were more documents, submerged in a liquid. It looked to detectives like someone was trying to destroy them.
These documents really give you chills. He's talking about going to the store, buying broccoli, butter, shrimp.
Anthony Garcia's shopping list, from the ordinary to the ominous.
As you can see here, it says invade rich house, torture, murder. Over here it says rich children, gun, invade, kill, knife, kidnap family, SUV, torture, kill.
And there was also something familiar soaking in the sink. Those negative performance reviews written by Dr. Shonda Butra and Garcia's termination letter, signed by Drs. Hunter and Brumback.
The motivation for these murders was all right there in that sink.
That sink full of evidence wasn't all detectives found. Their investigation led them to a key witness at Garcia's favorite haunt, Club Coyote.
Who's Cecilia Hoffman?
At the time, she was a stripper at a strip club in Terre Haute, Indiana. Mr. Garcia was a regular customer.
A roadside strip joint, the one place Anthony Garcia's childhood dreams still had life.
When he came in the door, they would announce that Dr. Tony was in the house and he had all this money. And
Cecilia told Detective Davis that Garcia wanted more than just a dance. He wanted a girlfriend. That wasn't what she wanted.
So she stated to us that she started to try to distance herself from him.
Omaha cops recorded Cecilia's haunting story.
I'm putting on my little voice and saying, well, Dr. Tony, I only like bad boys. I'm a bad girl. He couldn't handle a girl like me. And then that's when he told me. He told me I wasn't as good as he thought he was. He said, I killed you before. He said, I killed a young boy and an old woman.
Anthony Garcia confesses to the murders of Thomas Hunter and Shirley Sherman as a way to try to impress a stripper?
Right.
The police fugitive unit would extradite Garcia back here to Omaha. And on July 23rd, 2013, right here at the Douglas County Courthouse, Dr. Anthony Garcia was formally charged with 4 counts of first-degree murder.
There wasn't anything in this case, I don't think, that was like our big piece of evidence. I think there were a lot of pieces, and when you put them together, that's what makes it overwhelming.
And it all points to Anthony Garcia.
Lead prosecutor Don Klein and his deputy, Brenda Beadle, would lay out Nebraska's capital murder case against Anthony Garcia.
They're trying to put my client to death, and I was going to do whatever I had to do to get him a fair trial, if at all possible.
And Bob Mata Jr., his father, and their legal associates were the Chicago-based powerhouse defense team Anthony Garcia's parents spent their entire life savings to hire.
Did your son kill Tommy Hunter, Shirley Sherman, Roger and Mary Brumback?
I don't know. If it did, it's a totally different person that they're talking about.
Omaha, September 26th, 2016. 15 years after he was fired from Creighton. The quadruple murder trial of a very different-looking Anthony Garcia finally began.
Just the innocence in this. Every one of those people were just going about their days, their lives, and then Anthony Garcia comes knocking.
Knocking with his grudge. Garcia's motive summed up by the prosecution in a single word: revenge.
He Googled it, he searched for it. He searched for that term.
Including a quote in his phone, Shakespeare quote.
Merchant of Venice. If you harm us, shall I not revenge?
Their theory is revenge, revenge. If you take out that element, that leaves them with absolutely a giant gaping hole in their tapestry where the entire thing becomes unwoven.
No cameras were allowed in court. The Matas of Chicago went at the prosecution like heavyweights.
They brought a lot of fire.
Revenge, suggested the Matas, was just a fancy theory. And in fact, the Matas produced this letter of recommendation for Anthony Garcia, written by Dr. Hunter just a few days after Garcia was fired from Creighton.
We terminated him, but we don't want him to be jobless, destitute. We want him to rehabilitate and find some other job.
And the Matas' take on the star witness, Cecilia Hoffman, who Garcia had allegedly confessed to? A strung-out stripper at the time.
I think she's a liar.
The time that she gives the interview, she's intoxicated, she's popping script pills every day. She has no credibility.
Well, I thought she was extremely credible, and she had nothing to gain by coming forward.
She was subjected to a very long and extensively vigorous cross-examination, and she didn't waver, and the jury saw that.
And the jury saw this.
The other piece of the gun was found off the highway on an exit ramp right by Terre Haute, Indiana.
The gun cops believe Garcia used to kill Roger Brumback.
That's an unbelievable coincidence.
It's amazing.
The serial number matches the one on this gun box found in his Terre Haute apartment. But at the Butras home, on this doorknob, there was DNA.
There was DNA evidence that pointed to Anthony Garcia.
But the Matas insisted cops could not place Garcia in Omaha for the first set of murders. And they argued this: Anthony Garcia was not the only disgruntled employee at Creighton, that buying chicken wings and beer on the day of the Brumback's murder didn't make their client a killer, and that he was simply looking for a job again in the Omaha area.
If Nebraska puts Anthony Garcia to death, is an innocent man dying?
I believe so.
I believe so.
After more than 50 witnesses and 15 days of emotional testimony, the case went to the jury. It took just 7 hours, and then the jury spoke as one.
Anthony Garcia guilty of murder in the deaths of Thomas Hunter, Shirley Sherman, and Roger and Mary Brumback.
Anthony Garcia, who didn't testify, guilty on all counts.
You know, the breath just kind of comes out of you. And it brings a lot of emotions back because you think about,
I can see,
about Thomas and Shirley and Roger and Mary.
For two cops, it was the answer to nearly a decade of relentless work.
You have been called the hero of this story.
Not at all.
You can't shake that off fast enough.
Oh, yeah, no, not at all.
You're describing to me a tireless investigation.
By a lot of detectives in our department and other agencies.
But Omaha, that proud Midwestern city, wasn't buying Derek Moyce and Scott Warner's modest ways. And when they approached a room full of the victims' loved ones...
Tell me what happened. You walked in?
I don't even want to say it.
Why not?
I don't know.
I can see it in your face. This was the most emotional moment, wasn't it?
One of them, yes, for sure.
The victims' families stood and applauded.
It's very gratifying. That's I think, why we do what we do.
And just finally, after 7 years, you can kind of let it go a little bit. Say, okay, these families have got their answer.
3 families shattered. 3 plus 1.
They got the wrong person.
I still don't believe it. Will you be at the sentencing?
Yes.
the firstborn son of hardworking people.
He grew up in a healthy environment. What changed him, I don't know.
The boy who followed his dream, now up for the death penalty.
I have to be there. I don't know if I ever see him again. I'm sorry.
Okay, Stella. If there is room for irony in a murder story, it belongs to the Butras. Police believe that the Butras, not the Brumbacks, would be dead if the Butras had not been at that Mother's Day brunch with their slow-moving, elderly friend.
If you had been home 20 minutes earlier, what would have happened?
We would be both dead. We would be having this conversation. It was either them or us.
Outside Creighton Medical Center, where every single day countless doctors bind wounds, help, and heal, there sits in the cool stillness a statue. It is Tom Hunter, forever an 11-year-old child, at play for eternity.
Right now we're in Pitcher Canyon. It's about 4 miles south of Wenatchee. It's a place that there's really no reason to be this time of year and this time of night unless you live here. When we think of Pitcher Canyon, anybody who was here in 2010, they're always going to think of the Mackenzie Cowell case.
Mackenzie was a senior in high school. She was on the verge of being grown up.
This wasn't your normal missing persons case.
February 9th of 2010, and I last saw her as she packed up her bundles of books and left between 7 and 7:30 in the morning. Had made a quick little date. See you tonight for teriyaki burgers. Okay, Dad, love you. So I was expecting her home. Called about 5:40. That's when the phone went straight to her voicemail. It didn't even ring. Of course, you go through different waves of messages. One message will be, call me, I'm concerned. One message will be, now I'm getting irritated, you haven't called me back. And then the next message might be, I'm sorry I was irritated, call me when you can, maybe something's wrong.
Something a little unusual happened here that night. A rancher came down, found a red car here that didn't belong here, and he called it in. The deputy came up here. He ran the license plate. They contacted the registered owner, Reed Cowell.
The phone rang, and it was a deputy who was asking if I was missing my car. And I told him, yeah, I'm missing my car and the girl that drives it. I said, where's the car? And he told me it was up Pitcher Canyon. So I hopped in the car and headed straight that direction. Here we are driving, it's dark, it's cold. When I pulled around the corner, all I saw was the red car with flashing police lights. It was a pretty ominous thing to see.
The deputies checked the car, and they found that Mackenzie's purse was inside.
Well, that's really not right. Mackenzie doesn't go anywhere without her purse. This is not good. Somebody's messed with her.
There was a lot of concern right away that something had happened to Mackenzie.
That was just a long, dark, evil, strange night.
Mackenzie went missing shortly after 3 p.m. on February 9th. Her body was discovered around 1 o'clock, February 13th, on the banks of the Columbia River.
I mean, it just made me cold stone numb. I was just blank.
The day that we found Mackenzie and we saw how brutally she'd been murdered, we knew we were in for one tough investigation.
The list went on and on.
Hold it right there.
So many different suspects that we didn't know what to think.
I'm Peter Van Sant. Tonight on 48 Hours, Secrets of the River. With the miracle of another spring, the small town of Wenatchee, Washington, nestled in a landscape of endless apple orchards, turns out to celebrate the annual Apple Blossom Parade. But in 2011, one graceful dancer is missing from the festivities, Mackenzie Cowell.
She loved to dance, dance, dance. Anywhere we went, she danced. Grocery stores, gas stations, anywhere. If a song came on, she would just break out in a boogie.
Mackenzie's father, Reed Cowell, and his fiancée, Sandy Francis, cheer on Mackenzie's old high school dance team, the Applettes.
And was she good at it?
Oh, she loved it. She loved it. Beautiful.
Mackenzie, 17 years old, was 5'8", strong and beautiful, a young woman with a future, at the heart of a family unit that couldn't get enough of each other.
We used to call each other on our cell phones. That's how bad it was. Rooms
From
were
upstairs to downstairs to argue over whose turn it was to make floats.
Yeah.
Just to make like Coke floats, root beer floats?
Root floats were her
root
favorite.
beer floats, orange floats.
The family is as authentic as the American West, starting with Reed. He's at home among the soaring Cascade Mountains, rich blue skies, and of course, the orchards of apples.
And you felt safe having your family here.
We did feel safe.
And Mackenzie, a senior in high school, was thriving.
She was working to achieve dreams that she created on her own. So her day started at 6:15 in the morning. She had to be out of the door by 7:15.
There was also her dance, modeling, and efforts to learn a trade. For that she came here, the Academy of Hair Design, smack in the middle of downtown Wenatchee.
What drew her to that, do you think?
I think her modeling and her love of clothes and, you know, the makeup and just primping and being a girl.
Being a girl was something Mackenzie loved. Her boyfriend, Joaquin Villasano, was smitten.
Did you love her?
Yeah, I loved her a lot.
Did she love him?
Absolutely.
It was February 9th, 2010. Reed and Mackenzie had planned a father-daughter dinner date at home. The orchards were barren and the cold Columbia rolled through town.
Beauty school got out at 5 o'clock, so I called her about 5:40 to see how close she was. And her cell phone went right to the voicemail, which was pretty weird.
2 hours later came that call from police and Reed's desperate ride into darkness and fear. The next morning, Detective John Cruz of the Wenatchee Police Department joined the search for Mackenzie.
It got serious pretty quick.
Police would trace Mackenzie's last known steps on the day she disappeared.
We're at the Academy of Hair Design. Mackenzie Cowell is a student here. It's 3 o'clock. She's just finished asking one of her co-students, hey, do I have to sign out if I'm just leaving for 15 minutes? Right after that, she leaves out this door right here.
This one right here?
Right here. She comes up these stairs, and she's recorded on these cameras here.
These security cameras on the side of this wall?
That's correct.
This video taken by those security cameras capture the last images of Mackenzie alive. When she got to her car, she sent a text to her boyfriend, Joaquin.
She said, "Hey."
Hey. That was the way she greeted you.
Yeah.
Then Mackenzie Cowell disappeared.
Like she drives off the face of the earth.
That's a good way to put it.
I'd lay awake at night and, where are you?
Everyone, even strangers, was searching for that answer.
We just started canvassing any neighborhood. After several days, that was our strength and our hope.
Then, 4 days into it, Reed Cowell got a call from the FBI.
But she told me she was so very, very sorry to have to tell me this over the phone. But that they had found a body.
I didn't know what to say to him. What do you say?
In a bend of the mighty Columbia River called Crescent Bar, Mackenzie Cowell lay in the shallow water.
And right here in this location, about 15 feet out from here is where Mackenzie's body was located.
Douglas County's chief deputy, Robin Wagg, was struck by the brutality of the murder.
A combination of strangulation, a blunt force trauma to the head, a deep laceration into the neck.
And horribly, Mackenzie's killer had attempted to saw off her arm.
You could see a knife still stuck into the tissue.
A knife was still in her body?
Still stuck into her shoulder, into the tissue.
What did you guys do at that moment?
Just stood there and held each other.
The police went to work, and after meeting with Mackenzie's boyfriend, they decided to give him a lie detector test.
Do you know who killed Mackenzie? And they kept saying that I failed that question.
Do you know who killed Mackenzie?
No, I didn't.
Detectives kept Joaquin in their sights, but the investigation took a dramatic turn when a surprise witness came forward. Liz Reed swore she knew who killed Mackenzie Cowell, and that the video of Mackenzie leaving the beauty school was not the last recorded image of her alive. Liz swears she saw the murder itself unfold in a chilling videotape.
I saw it with my own eyes.
Recorded by the killers. The Columbia River held a silent secret about how Mackenzie Cowell, so full of life, had come to rest along the bank at Crescent Bar, some 48 miles from home.
It was a violent way to meet your end. And then the attempted dismemberment afterwards, that was probably the most shocking thing.
Detective Cruz and Chief Wagg sensed the challenge that lay ahead.
No stone would go unturned, no matter how long it took.
But first, a town took time to grieve.
We are here today because somebody stole her life.
Mackenzie's stunned classmates gathered in the local arena.
They did something that only God is allowed to do.
The Applettes danced for their friend, and Reverend Sandy Brown tried to somehow make sense of it all.
But we are here today also because no one can steal our memories of her. Mackenzie, we love you.
Mackenzie's mother, Wendy Cowell, went on local news and begged for answers.
It's important to my family and I for you to bring that person forward.
As the hunt for a murderer began, an unprecedented statewide task force of top investigators from around the region joined forces.
I think this is probably the biggest investigation the Wenatchee Valley has ever seen.
First to be questioned were those who loved Mackenzie most.
We interviewed Wendy, Reed, family members.
I would never describe Reed or the mother Wendy as a person of interest in this case, but we certainly did look at them.
But it's got to be somebody that she knew and trusted. I knew that for a fact.
I really think I was like the #1 suspect.
Mackenzie's boyfriend, Joaquin, who had failed that one question on a lie detector test, came directly under the police spotlight.
So then he asked me like 3 times if I was a gangster. Then I was like, no.
And soon, police concluded Joaquin, with an airtight alibi, had lost as much as anyone.
Yeah, I loved her a lot.
But that was not the case with this man, Joey Fisher, with whom Mackenzie had her problems.
Joe Fisher was the boyfriend of Wendy Kell, Mackenzie's mother.
Is this potentially the guy?
We know that they have this relationship that sometimes involved arguments.
She told her mom it's either him or me.
That was the day before she went missing, that they had had a huge fight. They had had a
That
huge...
was the day before?
Yes.
Because the next day, after this volatile confrontation, she disappears.
She's gone.
He remained very high interest for the task force. In the end, we could find no physical linkage.
There was no evidence to tie Joey Fisher to Mackenzie's murder, and he was completely exonerated by police. The investigation into the murder of Mackenzie Cowell was stalled. 2 months would pass, and then, from the shadowy side of Wenatchee, an unexpected witness emerged. A walking contradiction named Liz Reed.
I am in college full-time. I have a straight-A GPA.
If the cops were here, they'd say, not bad for a drug-dealing liar.
I'm sure they would say that.
When Mackenzie Cowell was doing everything to build an honest life, Liz Reed was doing anything to stay high on OxyContin.
I was selling drugs. I was writing bad prescriptions, doctor shopping.
To get access to OxyContin?
Correct.
Liz was also working with the police.
You were an informant.
Correct.
The information Liz Reed gave police sent the investigation of Mackenzie Cowell's murder into overdrive.
She began providing us information about 2 individuals in this area.
She named names, Sam Cuevas and Emmanuel Cerros, nicknamed Buddha, streetwise, convicted criminals, drug dealers, people Liz Reed hung out with.
And she tells a very compelling story that Sam Cuevas and Emmanuel Cerros abduct and kill Mackenzie Cowell on a bluff near Crescent Bar.
Liz Reed told police that Mackenzie died because of a horrible case of mistaken identity, that Cuevas and Buddha murdered Mackenzie because they wrongly thought she was in the drug world too, and a police informant.
We choked that bitch to shut her up. And that's what he said.
At that moment, Sam Cuevas had basically told you he had murdered Mackenzie Cowell.
Yes. He said they had to choke her 2 times because they choked her once they thought she was dead.
It was compelling, and that's why we invested so much time and so much resources, because we were excited.
Liz Reed claims she provided more details to the cops, including a description of the knife allegedly used during the attack.
So essentially, you had described the murder weapon prior to it being made public by anyone.
Yes.
And come spring, as the orchards came to life again, the task force thought they'd found the killers.
And that was the belief of a number of task force members at the time, based on what Miss Reed was telling us.
Liz Reed swears she was actually shown a snuff film of Mackenzie Cowell's death.
You say the killers told you and they showed you a video.
Yes. To have to watch somebody be tortured like they did to her and kill her and laugh about it, it never goes away.
But as cops investigated Liz's disturbing story, a totally new tip came in about yet another suspect. Someone Mackenzie saw every day. A classmate at her beauty school.
I think he was fascinated with serial killers. He certainly was fascinated with death.
He's a dangerous man.
The investigation into the murder of Mackenzie Cowell had dragged on for 7 months.
We later found out that that information was not true.
Police task force investigators had come to distrust their star informant, Liz Reed.
I'm sensing that she's not being truthful.
And what of that gruesome murder video? Cops spent months looking for it.
We found nothing. We found nothing that was a video of this murder.
Under pressure, Liz then threw the entire investigation upside down. She retracted her story of seeing a snuff film of Cuevas and Buddha murdering Mackenzie.
You completely changed your story.
I did.
Liz says she felt threatened by police.
That they were going to charge me with murder.
You were frightened, you were terrified?
I was terrified. I'm like, my God, you're going to get taken over there and charged with something to do with killing this girl.
But cops say Liz was never a suspect, just a desperate informant with a made-up story.
Can Liz Reed be trusted?
No, I think we've proven that.
Investigators were frustrated. Months passed.
I think you have faith that they'll find him. They will, eventually. It may take a while.
Spring slowly ripened into summer when police got that intriguing new lead.
He's walking northbound in the alley?
Northbound toward Yakima Street.
You know, we didn't even know Chris Wilson.
Christopher Wilson was a classmate of Mackenzie's at the Academy of Hair Design.
There she is, walking right across the parking lot.
Police speculate Chris and Mackenzie had decided to meet, that the brutal killing occurred only minutes after Mackenzie left their beauty school, after her classmate Chris came out that same back door.
We show them leaving 72 seconds apart.
You know, we're less than 3 blocks from there, 3 short blocks to his apartment from here.
Just who is Chris Wilson? That question would end up on the front page.
Artist, musician, had done some artwork and photography that might strike some as dark.
CBS News consultant Jefferson Robbins is an investigative reporter for the local paper, the Wenatchee World. He'd come to know everything about Chris Wilson.
He has a tattoo of Hannibal Lecter on his arm.
Hannibal Lecter being, in The Silence of the Lambs, the serial killer.
Correct.
He didn't fit into the Wenatchee norm. If he would have been in a big city in Seattle, New York, or Portland, he would have been a non-event.
Kathleen Zorns, Chris's mother, contends her son isn't dark or evil. He's just different.
What's a Hannibal Lecter tattoo?
It's not an insight into his soul.
I don't believe so, no.
I mean, Chris isn't so bizarre. It's just that it's such a normal little town where everyone looks just the same.
Amelia Savage is Chris's best friend. She agrees he's guilty of being an eccentric, artsy kid in a small town.
He's not a perfect person, but he's a good person.
So it was seemingly out of the blue that friends and family were told Chris wasn't just different, he was potentially dangerous.
Was he fascinated with the dead, with serial killers?
No.
You laugh.
It's ridiculous.
And compounding their disbelief was the source of the letter to investigators suggesting Chris Wilson might be a killer. Theo Keys is yet another troubled police informant, a man who served jail time, had been a friend of Chris Wilson, and had a reported history of mental illness.
He wrote the letter while he was in jail for exposing himself to a barista.
In that jailhouse letter, Theo wrote that Chris Wilson had an interest in dead bodies and serial killers.
We don't pick people that provide information to us. We take information that comes in. Theo Keys, we treated exactly the same as Liz Reed.
Investigators came to see Chris Wilson as a deeply troubled misfit, whose obsessive fascination with death, they claimed, led him to work in a funeral home.
There are thousands of people working in funeral homes across the country. That's a profession.
But it wouldn't be Chris's tattoo or work in a funeral parlor that made him the prime suspect in Mackenzie's murder. It would be forensic evidence discovered by investigators along the muddy river bank at Crescent Bar.
What led us to Chris Wilson was DNA evidence. His YSTR DNA was on a piece of duct tape that also had Mackenzie's blood that was by Mackenzie's body. It wasn't that he was different, it was his DNA.
Chris had given police a swab of his DNA on August 11th. Although not totally conclusive, the crime lab determined the DNA on the duct tape could belong to Chris Wilson. That's when Chris got the grilling of a lifetime.
Chris, have you been to Crescent Bar? No, I haven't been to Crescent Bar. Well, you know, your DNA was. And at that point, he goes ahead and says, I don't see how that could be, and I want a lawyer. I tell him, Chris, you're under arrest for the murder of Mackenzie Cowell. No emotion. Absolute flatline.
No reaction at all?
Zero.
8 months after Mackenzie Cowell's car was found abandoned, Chris Wilson appeared in court.
And there he is standing at the table in front of the judge, and I just went, that's him? No, that can't be. How could that guy have killed Mackenzie?
Chris Wilson was charged with the murder of Mackenzie Cowell.
Charge here, sir, is murder in the second degree. How do you plead? Not guilty.
And when you made eye contact with him?
Chris Wilson does not make eye contact with anyone.
Kathleen, you are passionate in your belief in Chris's innocence, correct?
That is correct.
In fact, Kathleen says that at the time police believed Mackenzie was being murdered, Chris was with her, picking up a plate of cupcakes.
He was perfectly normal, fine, happy.
He was the Chris as you would have seen on any other day?
Any other day. Any other day.
All the promise, all the grace that defined 17-year-old Mackenzie Cowell's life had been stolen. Yet her spirit still inspired a community.
Mackenzie, we love you.
She was full of life. She was just going a mile a minute and taking life full blast.
A task force.
We collected swab samples of
a town.
No one can steal our memories of her.
A father kept Mackenzie's memory alive.
I think of all the things that we did down here, swimming and running and sometimes just sitting.
But now was the time for justice and hopefully answers to unbearable questions.
I would like to talk to this guy. You know, why'd you take Mackenzie?
Chris Wilson, declaring his innocence, was headed to trial.
Is this a winnable case in your opinion?
It's a very winnable case.
Because investigators say the DNA on that duct tape was just the start of the case.
This is what we determined was the residence for Chris Wilson.
Let's head inside.
Okay.
Chief Wagg's task force combed over every inch of it.
When they started spraying the luminol, they found what turned out to be a fairly substantial stain that they were sure was blood, and it was right in this area right in here.
The cops cut the stained carpet. Then, a small bloody patch was tested for DNA.
It came back exclusively as Mackenzie Cowell's blood, and it was a substantial stain.
So, Chief, what do you believe happened in this apartment?
This is where Mackenzie Cowell was murdered by Chris Wilson.
Then there was this.
Pretty clean?
A controversial video of Chris Wilson.
Video me, just get away, is it clean?
Taken by his friend, Tessa Skyleman. In the video, shot as Chris moved out of apartment 28, the two friends seem concerned that it's neat and clean, so Chris could get his security deposit back. Chris would later explain the carpet was damaged during a party.
Does it look clean?
Clean for what happening? Clean considering?
Yeah, it's clean considering.
But police allege Wilson was checking for blood.
She zooms right on the carpet where that blood is.
The police task force is now certain that Mackenzie Cowell's blood was here, soaked deep into the carpet in apartment 28, where Chris Wilson lived at the time of the murder. The question that now defines this case is, how did her blood get here?
We have a whole list of things that make this look very suspicious.
Washington State's own John Henry Brown, hired by Chris's mother, is among the most high-powered lawyers anywhere. His clients have ranged from Robert Bales, the American soldier who pled guilty to mass murder in Afghanistan, to serial killer Ted Bundy, to the barefoot bandit Colton Harris Moore. Now add Chris Wilson.
Chris is clearly kind of the classic underdog, and that always is attractive to us.
Together with co-counsel Emma Scanlon, he is crafting a strategy that it's not Chris Wilson who is guilty, it's law enforcement of unspeakable corruption.
I'm saying to avoid professional embarrassment, they did whatever it took.
Including, allege these two lawyers, somehow planting Mackenzie's blood in Chris's apartment.
This is Wenatchee. They do things like that.
John Henry Brown's attitude about Wenatchee goes way back.
Allegations about sexual abuse of children.
It was the mid-90s. Dozens of people were charged with child sexual abuse. Most were convicted, wrongfully it turned out, until a young John Henry Brown succeeded in having some of the cases dropped or overturned.
It was completely false, made up, what's become known as the Wenatchee witch hunt.
You don't like that when your investigators are accused of things that seem to be baseless.
Gary Reason was the prosecutor then, going up against John Henry Brown in the child sex abuse scandal. And he is the prosecutor now against Chris Wilson.
Mr. Brown likes cases that are high visibility. He likes publicity in his cases.
What bothers law enforcement most isn't Brown's dramatic flair.
There's no evidence that the blood was planted. The blood was left there by Mackenzie Cowell when Chris Wilson murdered her.
Remember, Mackenzie's jugular vein had been cut. And Brown argues there should have been blood discovered all over Chris's apartment.
How do you explain that?
He was interested and infatuated with the serial killer Dexter, the series Dexter.
Dexter is the hit Showtime series where the killer often brings his victim into a room draped in plastic to keep the crime scene clean.
You know, he very well could have had plastic down on the floor. We just don't know.
But why was Mackenzie in Chris's apartment? Police believe they'd become friends. No way, swears Chris's mother.
They weren't friends on Facebook, on MySpace.
In your opinion, is there a campaign against your son?
I believe there is a conspiracy to frame him, yes.
And I'll tell you this, that's nuts. DNA evidence led us to Chris Wilson, and the DNA evidence tied him to Mackenzie Cowell.
If Chris Wilson did not murder Mackenzie Cowell, who did?
Sam Cuevas and Emmanuel Cerros.
Sam Cuevas and Emmanuel Buda Cerros, those two small-time drug dealers Liz Reed once swore confessed to her. Liz changed her story yet again and now told Chris Wilson's lawyers her tale about seeing that videotape of Mackenzie's murder. And she was prepared to testify under oath that it was all true.
You're certain what you saw was the death of Mackenzie Cowell?
Yes.
On video?
Yes.
Liz Reed was now slated to be the star defense lawyer's star witness. But Chris Wilson still had one big problem.
Mackenzie Cowell's blood is in Chris Wilson's apartment, and you can't explain how it got there.
Well, yeah, it's very difficult to convince a jury that evidence has been planted, but we are going to attempt to do that.
Mackenzie Cowell's bedroom hasn't changed much since she last slept peacefully. Time frozen in teenage photos. Her epaulettes outfit ready for the next dance.
The life, she was just full of life and joy and happiness and kindness. Her and her dad had so much fun together. She loved her dad dearly.
But here in Wenatchee, there were two families waiting for answers to the mysterious murder, each with very different versions of justice for Chris Wilson.
He is anxious for trial. He wants to tell his side of the story.
The famous lawyer and the longtime DA were primed. Then, in a stunning development, Gary Reeson made Wilson the offer of a lifetime, plead guilty to manslaughter, and serve only 6.5 years in prison.
I indicated, yeah, if he'd plead to that, I would recommend that we do that, take that offer.
Were you in any way intimidated by the fact that Brown was on this case?
Well, I don't think so.
But if Wilson was a killer, a very sweet deal now lay on the table.
If I was innocent, I'd take that deal.
He said it wouldn't matter if they offered him 6 months, 6 years, 6 days. He is not going to plead to something he did not do.
Chris Wilson turned down the DA's offer. The trial was on, and Liz Reed's story now had a new twist that threatened the prosecutor's claim that Mackenzie was killed in Chris Wilson's apartment.
We're heading to the Overlook.
Liz claims Mackenzie was actually murdered on this secluded bluff, and that she can prove it.
Is there any doubt in your mind that where we stand right now is where Mackenzie died?
None.
Liz says that Buddha Saros demanded she come here to find a ring ripped from Mackenzie's hand during the killing.
It was smashed, it was bent a little, but it was a ring.
This is the ring Liz says she found on the bluff. Attorney John Henry Brown says it matches the ring seen in this picture of Mackenzie. If true, Brown says Chris Wilson is an innocent man.
I personally took that ring that she found. I showed it to Reed Cowell, I showed it to Wendy Cowell, I showed it to Mackenzie's boyfriend. None of them recognized that ring at all.
Where is Mackenzie's ring? If that's not Mackenzie's ring, you bring her ring into court. They don't have it, because that is her ring.
Police concluded it wasn't Mackenzie's ring, and that Sam Cuevas and Emmanuel Buddha Saros had zero to do with the disappearance or death of Mackenzie Cowell.
I don't know Mackenzie Cowell. Never met her, never seen her.
This is Emmanuel Buddha Saros.
Want to throw a rock?
After we tried for 1.5 years to meet him, he finally surfaced.
Well, Liz Reed's is a liar, that's all I know. She just likes to take innocent people down for no reason.
At the time, Buddha was working an honest job and said Liz Reed's accusations damaged him badly.
I go to a grocery store, they look at me like I'm a killer or something. They just stare at me.
And Buddha swears the cops got it right. There was never any video of Mackenzie being murdered.
No, I don't have nothing to do with Mackenzie Cowell's murder.
It was Chris Wilson alone who would be tried for murder.
It's too late to take a plea.
That's correct.
Chris Wilson, are you there?
Yes.
I spoke with Chris Wilson about the extraordinary moments that were about to unfold in a Wenatchee courtroom.
What was your relationship with Mackenzie Cowell?
There was absolutely no relationship at all.
You never had coffee with her, never took her out on a date?
Nothing. I mean, we've never had a conversation, ever.
Chris, did you kill Mackenzie Cowell?
No, I did not kill Mackenzie Cowell.
But a jury would decide that, and the members of that jury were now being selected. That's when all hell broke loose.
Hey, Reed.
When we got the jury questionnaires back, I believe it was 80 to 85% of them said, no, he's absolutely guilty.
There is no way in hell he will get a fair trial here.
It was the 11th hour and 59 minutes. Suddenly, Chris Wilson was getting cold feet. The veteran DA and the star defense lawyer once again talked plea bargain.
So is this a done deal?
No, because they have to talk to the family.
Reed Cowell and Sandy Francis, who had lived every day for Mackenzie, made their way through a courthouse in chaos.
So, what's going on?
Plea bargain.
but it also includes a written statement that I did this. I kidnapped her and I murdered her. So it's
Please rise.
In Judge John Bridges' packed courtroom, a community gathered.
You may be seated. Thank you.
Chris Wilson accepted a sentence far longer than the first deal, 14 years in prison, in exchange for agreeing to these words.
Mr. Wilson, it reads, "This is my statement. I also did recklessly cause the death of Mackenzie Cowell by strangulation and by stabbing her with a knife." Mr. Wilson, is that your statement?
Yes.
And are those the things that you did?
Yes.
But Wilson would tell 48 Hours he pauses at this moment in the courtroom.
Are those the things that you did?
Yes.
Because the deal was based on a lie, and that he took it only to avoid a longer sentence.
Did you almost say no?
Absolutely.
Do you believe you were framed?
Framed by law enforcement? Yes.
Am I happy that Chris Wilson's in jail for 14 years? Absolutely. Do I wish it was 40? Absolutely.
But just why did the DA offer a deal?
I had no evidence to prove Mr. Wilson was in there with Miss Cowell when that blood was deposited.
The judicial dance was over.
Our job is to keep our community safe, and we know that we are sending a killer to prison today.
The anguish and questions were not.
In open court, Chris just pled guilty on 3 counts. Do you believe him?
No, I'm his mom. I do not believe him.
Then, 2 proud women who had lost what they valued most shared the humanity they had left.
Sorry. I'm sorry.
Jefferson Robbins told the tale on the front page. Reed and Sandy headed home, past the gentle orchards. As the Columbia River rolled on, whispering the name Mackenzie.
I have a really nice wind chime out in the front yard. And when that wind chime goes off, I think it's her talking to me. And I don't always think about her as being gone. I still think about her as though she's still around.
Less than a year after accepting the plea deal, Chris Wilson filed a motion to withdraw his guilty plea.
Are those the things that you did?
He contends his plea was not voluntary. Wilson claims he entered into the plea bargain without fully understanding the consequences, how much time he would ultimately serve in prison.
I hate seeing people get away with stuff. And I like figuring stuff out. My name is Ian Icavello, and I was the lead detective in the Sarah Harris case. Sarah Harris, she was incredibly bright.
One should always pursue knowledge, no matter the topic.
Very energetic, very fun.
Did Sarah have any idea how beautiful she was?
Honestly, I don't think she did.
Sarah Jane Harris. Sarah hopes to become an anesthesiologist.
She was shocked that she won the Miss Maryland Petite pageant. She had thought from a very young age that she would want to be a doctor. She wanted to help people. In 2020, Sarah needed wisdom teeth pulled.
She initially met James Ryan as a patient at his oral surgery practice.
I'm James Ryan. I mean, it's not just that we say that we care, but we really do.
Dr. James Ryan was a well-respected oral surgeon. A lot of people knew him and thought very highly of him.
So she gets the teeth done. She starts getting all these text messages, and they're from Dr. Ryan. And then he says, by the way, I'm looking to hire someone as a surgical assistant. Do you know anyone? She says something like, well, what about me, Mom? And he offered her the job.
She then became an employee, and then his girlfriend and his live-in girlfriend.
Sarah's life appeared glamorous on the outside, but behind closed doors, I mean, that wasn't necessarily the case.
I would have never, ever thought that her life would end the way it did.
Montgomery County 911.
My girlfriend, I think, overdosed. I'm trying to resuscitate her right now.
And what is your first and last name?
James Ryan. I'm doing chest compression.
And
She's unresponsive.
is she breathing?
She's not breathing.
When the two responding officers got to the house, they saw Sarah. She's laying on the floor.
What did authorities think had happened to Sarah that day?
She overdosed.
And we don't know if it's an accident, if it's suicide, or if it's a homicide.
The decision was made to charge him with depraved heart murder.
I think most of our audience will have never heard of depraved heart murder.
I have never seen it before.
You have to show an extreme indifference to human life.
James Ryan provided those drugs that caused her death.
That doesn't mean he's guilty of murder. Another way of presenting this case would be we never intended to hurt her.
I knew this was not just some simple accidental overdose. This was much more.
Was she sleeping on the couch last night?
Yeah, she would do that sometimes.
It's the morning of January 26, 2022. Sarah Harris lies unresponsive on the floor of the room in disarray. Her boyfriend, Dr. James Ryan, tearfully talks with police at the scene. The conversation is recorded on a body camera as they ask him about the night before.
We're watching TV, and then she said you should probably go to bed because you're tired and you have to work tomorrow, so I did.
What time did you go to bed?
Probably about 10 or 11.
Ryan has already told authorities he's a doctor and that he thinks it's an overdose. And he says it's happened before.
And I did CPR and brought her back.
This time, Sarah doesn't survive. Dr. Ryan has suggested where she got at least one of her drugs of choice, a powerful anesthetic.
She used to take propofol too. She used to steal that from my office.
How they got into her body?
I've caught her before with, like, injecting herself with things.
And why?
She was bipolar also, so she could be really angry or could be really happy.
Ryan had called Sarah's family with the awful news that morning. But her mother, Tina, just didn't believe anything he said. She immediately suspected James Ryan was responsible for Sarah's death. She arrived at the scene about 20 minutes later.
I started kicking and hitting him and screaming at him.
What did he say happened?
He said he went to bed and left her alone and came down, and she was unresponsive in the morning.
Authorities say they found wrappers from syringes, tourniquets, and saline bags next to the kitchen sink, and drug vials in Sarah's purse. Tina thinks Ryan arranged it that way.
He wanted to look like it was a suicide.
Tina had long held suspicions about Dr. Ryan. He had encountered Sarah Harris more than a year earlier, not as a girlfriend, but as a patient, to get her wisdom teeth out.
Dr. Ryan is somebody who's practiced for over 20 years. He has incredible credentials.
Mary Fulginiti is a former prosecutor and defense attorney and a CBS News consultant. We asked her to use her decades of courtroom experience to help analyze this case.
He's esteemed and regarded in his community as one of the best at what he does.
Tina Harris says the first time her daughter met Dr. Ryan for her teeth in the summer of 2020, the doctor was professional. But she does remember at the time feeling it was curious when his interest in Sarah seemed to change.
She starts getting all these text messages. He asks her, "How are you doing?" And she says, "I'm fine." And he starts sending little emojis.
What are you thinking as her mom?
I thought it was a little bizarre that he added a little happy face, and I thought, well, maybe he just likes using emojis.
She says that's when Ryan had mentioned he was looking to hire someone as a surgical assistant.
I thought, well, maybe he just thinks that she'd really be a good addition.
Dr. Ryan hardly seemed like a threat. He was divorced with 3 grown children and was involved with a woman with whom he already had a baby. At 47, he was more than twice Sarah's age.
He said, "No, I don't need your resume. Just come on in for a working interview." I said, "Well, I'm proud of you, honey. That's pretty incredible. He's going to teach you all this stuff?"
At the beginning, Sarah seemed to love the job, but Tina says as the holidays approached, an extravagant gift re-triggered her suspicion that Dr. Ryan's interest in Sarah was more than professional.
What was it?
A diamond necklace.
That's quite a gift.
I said, "Okay, he's after you." I said, "You got to put your foot down."
Instead, in early 2021, she says Sarah announced she had agreed to go out for a meal with Ryan, who was ending his other relationship. He seemed to win over Sarah, and Tina admits in their early days as a couple, even she found him impressive.
As a mother, was a part of you excited she was dating a doctor?
Well, I was excited. I was excited because he had a wonderful reputation.
And she says Ryan was generous. He would lease Sarah a new car and take her and her family on trips, all expenses paid. Tina says, in a way, he spent time courting her, too.
He would say, "I would love to have you as my mom. Sarah's so blessed to have you."
Tina says she and Sarah always had a special bond.
We were very, very close.
She says Sarah was close to her 3 siblings, too, especially older sister Rachel.
Rachel took it upon herself that she was going to be the protector.
But there had been a rough period during Sarah's youth in suburban Maryland. Like many young people, she experimented with drugs and had problems moderating her mood. She suffered from anxiety.
When did she first struggle with depression?
I noticed depression coming about when she was about 14, 15 years old. She would start feeling down.
But Tina says Sarah still excelled in high school, craving knowledge and the skills that came with it.
It's currently hanging in the Louvre in Paris.
She learned German, Spanish, Russian, and sign language.
Happy birthday to you.
She put a lot of pressure on herself, especially with her grades.
Before long, Sarah got her social bearings.
She fell into a great group of kids. They would sit out in the living room and play the guitar, play the piano, sing.
She was at a music festival in 2018 when 21-year-old Sarah caught the eye of Henry Peterson, 7 years older.
I feel like it was like stars colliding and meeting someone like you're supposed to meet.
They lived 7 hours apart, but he says they quickly became emotionally inseparable.
We talked about everything you could think of in terms of future marriage and children and family.
He says the distance eventually made them drift. Peterson broke it off, though he says he still imagined they would end up together.
She and I never stopped talking. The love was always there.
By her mid-20s, Sarah had gotten into modeling and competing in beauty pageants. And in 2020, she'd won that Miss Maryland Petite pageant. The next year is when she started quietly seeing Dr. Ryan. And by that summer, they had decided to live together.
And that's when everything goes downhill.
By the end of the summer of 2021, Tina Harris says James Ryan was dominating Sarah's life. Boss, boyfriend, even letting her live rent-free in his house. But instead of flourishing, Sarah seemed anxious and depressed. She saw a psychiatrist who gave her that bipolar diagnosis.
Her complexion starts to change. She starts to lose weight.
On a family trip to Key West that September, Tina says Sarah had been asleep when a drunk Dr. Ryan revealed something unsettling. He had first noticed Sarah in the park when she was just 14.
I used to see Sarah walking the neighborhood and playing at the park with her friends. And he says, then I found out she worked in the toy store, so I would take my kids there so I could see her. And I remember when she dressed up as Elsa from Frozen, and she looked just like Elsa. And then he said, yeah, and then I found out she worked at one of these restaurants, and so I would go in there for dinner so I could get her as my server.
It sounds like Dr. Ryan was obsessed with Sarah.
He was. He was very much so.
By their next trip to Florida a month later, she says Sarah was acting strangely. She wore a bulky, long-sleeve sweatshirt despite the heat, and it seemed like she and Ryan were always fighting.
And she goes, I hate him. I don't want to be here. I want to go home.
And when they returned to Maryland, Tina saw the full, horrifying picture of what Sarah's life had become. She says she called Sarah on October 28th, 2021.
Phone rang. She finally picked up. She could barely talk. Her words were extremely slurred. So I said, Sarah, what's going on? What's wrong with you? She goes, oh, I'm just really tired, Mom.
You knew something was wrong.
Yeah, well, I knew she was slurring.
Tina says she and Rachel left for Sarah's house minutes later.
And we walked into hell.
What did you see?
Well, Sarah answers the door. She smells. It looks like she hadn't bathed in a week or more. She looked horrible.
She'd weighed 120 when she'd had oral surgery with Ryan, Tina says, but Sarah was skin and bones now. And Tina says there was more.
The IV bags, needles laying all over the floor, syringes, tourniquets, bloody footprints, bloody paper towels.
And there were drugs, bottles and vials everywhere. Rachel gathered them up and photographed them.
I never looked at the drugs, and I wish I had.
I do think some people watching would think, how did you not look at what the drugs were?
Of course. I just wanted to get her out.
She says Sarah had offered an innocent, if unconvincing, explanation.
She goes, I've just been dehydrated, Mom. He's just hydrating me. I said, I'm turning him in. And Sarah starts crying, Mom, you can't do that. Please don't do that. She's begging me. I grabbed her arms and I pulled her sleeves up, and she had needle marks from here to here, all over her arms, bruises. I became hysterical.
Against her better judgment, Tina agreed to hold off on calling authorities, but she says she insisted Sarah move back home. Just days later, Tina says Ryan convinced Sarah to come back to him. In the following weeks, Tina says Sarah seemed to be getting better. She started cooking, eating, even going to church. But on December 3rd, 2021, Tina says her daughter answered the phone slurring again. Rachel Harris jumped into action.
Rachel said, I'm going to go and check on her.
When Rachel got there,
it was worse than the first time.
Poking around the ground floor, Rachel once again pulled out her camera, finding drug bottles and vials, as well as a saline bag, an IV pole, IV needles, and bloody footprints on a kitchen mat. She was so distraught she left without talking to her sister. A few days later, Tina confronted Dr. James Ryan. She was in no mood for another explanation.
I just reached across and smacked the living crap out of him.
You hit him?
Yeah. Oh, I hit him. And I said, "What are you doing? Are you trying to kill my daughter?"
Tina says Ryan still insisted he'd only been hydrating her.
And you still believed it?
I believed he was giving her something. I didn't know what it was. I did not look at the vases. All I could see was my daughter and what kind of trouble she was in.
But the next day, she says Ryan admitted he'd been doing more than hydrating her. He'd been giving Sarah drugs, though only to keep her from getting them someplace else.
So I told him, I said, "Look, you can break it off with my daughter or I'm calling the police." And he said, "Well, I'll break it off with her."
But days turned into weeks, and Dr. Ryan never did. After months of tension, Tina says she couldn't keep arguing with her daughter anymore.
What was I going to do? Lock her up?
You probably wanted to.
I threatened it. And she said, "If you do that, Mom, when I get out, you'll never hear from me again." And that scared me to death.
Within weeks, there was a new tragedy for the Harris family. Sarah's brother Christopher, just 38, died after a heart attack in Montana.
I had to sign the papers to take him off life support, which no mother should have to do.
His death was devastating to the whole family. Sarah posted this tribute message to her brother. "Never goodbye. I'll see you soon, big bro." And only 18 days after Christopher's death, at about 8:30 a.m. on January 26, 2022, Tina says she and Rachel were together when Rachel got James Ryan's call.
Rachel started screaming. She's holding the phone, and James has it on FaceTime, and he's got the camera pointed at my baby. Had Sarah on the ground, saying she's gone, she's gone.
At the time of her death, Sarah Harris weighed just 83 pounds. Authorities would list her manner of death as undetermined. Dr. Ryan was not arrested. They seemed to accept his story that Sarah, struggling with mental health issues, had overdosed. But there would be help from a most unlikely investigator.
Rachel started trying to get into Sarah's iCloud.
I just hope that you're happy that I'm with someone who truly, truly loves me.
3 months before she died, Sarah left a voicemail for her ex-boyfriend, Henry Peterson.
I've never trusted anybody as much as I've trusted the man that I'm with right now. Professionally, emotionally. You never let me in that way.
They'd stayed in touch after breaking up, so when she didn't answer her phone after January of 2022, Peterson says he had a strange feeling and decided to go online.
I Googled her name, and there's an obituary.
He says when Tina gave him details, he joined her in the belief that James Ryan, the man Sarah said she had trusted more than anybody else, was responsible for her death. But first responders didn't think so.
They didn't shut it down as a crime scene.
Police seized some drug vials, but left the house unguarded. Tina says that's because they believed what Dr. Ryan had told them about where she'd gotten the drugs and how she'd taken them.
It was an overdose.
But she says she knew there was more to it than that, though she didn't know how to prove it. Turns out there was someone very close to her who did.
Rachel told me she would find the evidence.
Rachel Harris decided to examine Sarah's laptop to see if it might contain clues authorities hadn't seen. She didn't know the password, but she knew her sister well.
It took her about a couple of days to figure out Sarah's password.
Combing through Sarah's computer and iCloud, Rachel hit pay dirt, a trove of texts between her sister and James Ryan. The messages were full of references to drugs, including a tranquilizer named diazepam and 2 fast-acting surgical anesthetics, the type Rachel had seen in the home Dr. Ryan and Sarah shared, propofol and ketamine, which is sometimes also used for depression. Rachel created a binder, adding the photos she'd taken there.
Rachel compiled 200 pages of evidence.
The medical examiner would release Sarah's autopsy report, which showed those same 3 drugs in Sarah's system. Research suggests they can all be habit-forming, and they can suppress breathing. Taking them in combination can be lethal.
All the while, Rachel's building a case.
Yes, yes.
In February 2022, Rachel gave her binder to Montgomery County Police. It eventually landed on the desk of Detective Ian Icavello, an expert in pharmaceutical investigations. After more than 33 years as a cop, Icavello was nearing retirement. He decided to come in alone on a Sunday.
It was my birthday, and nothing was going on. You don't get parties when you're this age. I'm like, I'm just gonna go in the office and look through this binder and just see.
What Icavello saw in Rachel's binder suggested cops at the scene had been wrong about Sarah's death. He says reading the text between Sarah and James Ryan was like watching a murder in slow motion.
You could see Sarah die.
Sarah is suffering within the first month of their relationship.
She had anxiety. She was having trouble sleeping.
Ryan offers a quick fix. I can give you an injection. The anxiety will be completely gone in 6 seconds, he writes. It will work. Let's try it.
He had already made the decision.
Icavello says the text suggests that over the months, Sarah developed a drug habit and a habit of asking her boyfriend, the doctor, to feed it. In October 2021, do we have ketamine here? In November, we need syringes. I feel like In December, I just really need sleep, she writes. Can you bring propofol?
She's actively asking for drugs. At no point does he say no.
Icavello says the text suggests Dr. Ryan often brought Sarah the dangerous drugs and that he actually administered at least one about a month before her death. It was December 20th, 2021. If you wake up, I just went to change after I gave you ketamine just now, he writes.
He's injecting her while she's asleep. No monitoring, no anything.
And Icavello points to this exchange from the day before Sarah died. Is it possible to bring home ketamine when you come, she asks. Yes, I will bring some home. I love you, baby, Ryan replies.
The texts tell a story.
They do.
So do Rachel's photos from Sarah's house, says Icavello, though his colleagues lacking experience in pharmaceutical investigations might not have understood that.
They had no idea what they were really looking at.
He says patrol cops and paramedics often deal with overdoses of street drugs like heroin and fentanyl, but the deadly drugs in Sarah Harris's house were masquerading as something else.
There's a difference between drugs and medication.
Icavello says to the untrained eye, the drugs at Sarah's look like medication. The paraphernalia around the house might have been confusing too.
Usually what we see is burnt spoons, tinfoil, some hypodermic needles, maybe a shoelace or some other string, that kind of drug paraphernalia.
But to Icavello, the syringes and the saline, the professional tourniquets, and the plastic wrappers at Sarah's made it resemble an operating room.
That's what a lot of it looked like.
Whatever questions responding authorities may have had, he says Dr. Ryan offered answers.
And you've got James saying she did all of this without any other information. Okay, well, we're just kind of going to go with what he says.
He's a doctor.
He's a doctor.
But Icavello says after reading through the family's binder, any credibility Dr. Ryan may have had that day vanished. And on March 22, 2022, nearly 2 months after Sarah's death, James Ryan was arrested for the murder of Sarah Harris. But prosecutors would have to make the case to a jury.
Sometimes it's hard to convince them.
Maybe especially so in this case, because James Ryan's defense is suggesting he was only trying to save Sarah's life and that she had other ideas.
I knew the case was solid.
Detective Ian Icavello was sure Dr. James Ryan was responsible for Sarah Harris's death. And he had no problem convincing prosecutors on Montgomery County's overdose task force. Jennifer Harrison.
It's his fault.
James Dietrich.
He was the one who was providing those drugs.
And Kimberly Sissel.
He knew how dangerous these drugs were.
Ryan was a doctor after all, but as certain as prosecutors were that he knew he was risking Sarah's life, they had no conclusive evidence he intended to kill her.
We never suggested that. You can accept that James Ryan loved Sarah Harris, but it does not excuse all the other actions that he took that led to Sarah's death.
So they charge Ryan with a subcategory of second-degree murder unfamiliar to many people. It's known as depraved heart murder. Prosecutors say the charge doesn't require proving the killer actually wanted anyone dead, only that they knew their actions would likely kill someone and didn't care.
We have to prove that he did it with reckless disregard for the value of her life.
Dietrich gave us an example.
For instance, if I take a gun and just randomly shoot it into a crowd, I may not necessarily want or care that anybody dies, but that is such a grossly reckless act that someone's likely to die.
Prosecutors also charge Ryan with a slightly lesser charge, involuntary manslaughter, plus 2 counts of drug distribution and 1 count of possession with intent to distribute.
Ladies and gentlemen, meet Dr. James Ryan.
Opening statements begin on August 16th, 2023. There are no cameras in court, but there is an audio recording.
But behind closed doors, he was conducting a deadly medical experiment on his 25-year-old patient turned employee turned live-in girlfriend.
The prosecution portrays Ryan as a controlling older man who got his glamorous young girlfriend hooked on drugs.
He was stealing dangerous sedation drugs from his business and administering them to his girlfriend, Sarah Harris.
Prosecutors say the proof of Ryan's guilt is largely in those text messages. Ryan offering to get rid of Sarah's anxiety in 6 seconds, telling her he gave her ketamine while she was sleeping, and on the night before her body was found, apparently agreeing to bring ketamine home to her.
Can you tell us about Sarah?
I don't know where to start.
I was the first to testify.
She was my baby.
Tina Harris is emotional as she relives Sarah's downward spiral just months before dying.
I asked to see her arms. She said, "No, Mama." But I grabbed her arm and I pulled at the sleeves, and her little arms were covered in needle marks and bruises.
And the medical examiner tells the jury about the dangerous drug cocktail that brought her life to a tragic end.
When people use all three together, those just cause profound, strong sedation.
The drugs can be so dangerous, in fact, the prosecution tells jurors that doctors who use these drugs have equipment and protocols in place to revive patients if needed.
Even though Dr. Ryan would follow all of those safety protocols in his own office, he would never follow those at home.
She was chemically dependent on him.
She was chemically dependent on him.
Prosecutors also call social worker Janice Miller, who says that kind of power imbalance is a hallmark of abusive relationships.
The drugs were the way that he controlled her and really ensured that she wouldn't leave the relationship.
He's created an addict.
Dr. Ryan and his attorneys did not agree to be interviewed by 48 Hours, but at trial, they argue Sarah Harris may have played an important role in her own demise, suggesting that after wrestling with mental illness, she was now losing her battle with anxiety, depression, and drugs.
Their focus on Sarah Harris is obviously her mental illness.
The defense suggests Sarah may have begun stealing the drugs herself. They want the jury to know about her Facebook post about seeing her deceased brother soon, but the judge won't allow it. But they are allowed to tell jurors about a text Sarah sent Ryan months before her death.
She says, "I've lost my will to live."
I've lost my will to live.
Do you think there's any chance Sarah was suicidal?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
Where's the indication of a suicide on the scene? There is none.
Detective Icavello says the drug bottles found in Sarah's purse were too far from her body for her to have given them to herself.
These drugs are fast acting. She's gonna be out in seconds. How she put all the medication in her purse, then went and laid down? Not possible.
She wouldn't have cleaned up. Somebody else had to have done it.
But according to CBS News consultant Mary Fulginiti, the defense argues that detectives mishandled the scene, that there's no way to know exactly what happened, including who administered the fatal dose.
They didn't test to see if his DNA or fingerprints were on those syringes.
Dr. Ryan chooses not to testify. The defense argues he was a loving partner who was just trying to help Sarah.
This is a case about caring for somebody and possibly loving them to death.
His lawyers call a friend who saw Sarah using drugs before she began dating Ryan, and a relative who saw them as a happy couple. In closings, prosecutors remind the jury that to convict Ryan of depraved heart murder, it doesn't matter whether or not he actually put the drugs in Sarah's body, or even whether or not he wanted her to die.
The act of giving her the drugs is him handing her a loaded gun.
But would the jury agree?
I try to believe the best in people, and
for as long as Kyle Stevens can remember, his friend, Dr. James Ryan, has done right by people.
he was a pretty straight-laced, clean-cut guy.
When he talked about Sarah, how did he sound?
In the beginning, he seemed enthusiastic and excited.
But Stevens says at a certain point, Ryan did reach out with a concern.
He had asked about how to best be helpful and supportive to someone in that place of depression and possibly addiction.
Did it make you wonder if he was actually asking about Sarah?
Yeah, but I didn't press.
So Stevens says he had no idea what was really going on between the two. Then he discovered his friend was arrested and headed to trial.
When you heard the verdict, what did you think?
I was taken back.
After a nearly 2-week trial, it takes jurors less than 3 hours to reach their decision.
Up to count 1, murder in second degree.
Guilty.
On August 25, 2023, They find James Ryan guilty of the second-degree depraved heart murder of Sarah Harris.
Relief.
Yeah, relief.
They also convict Ryan on the manslaughter and drug charges.
My heart just felt satisfied.
Sarah's voice was heard through this.
Tina and Rachel speak at a press conference after the verdict.
She was this beautiful beauty queen, and she wasted away at the hands of Dr. James Ryan.
And again at sentencing months later.
He's a predator. He's a wolf in sheep's clothing. Please. Put behind bars until his life is done.
But James Ryan's lawyers had submitted supportive letters from his friends and a legal filing which detailed that James Ryan had his own struggles with drugs and mental health. Ryan addresses the court and insists he didn't administer the lethal dose, but takes responsibility for not preventing Sarah's access to the drugs that killed her.
The words do not exist to convey and express the level of remorse I feel.
Though the guidelines suggest a sentence of 15 to 25 years for this case of depraved heart murder, the judge has something else in mind.
It is the sentence of this court that you be committed to the Maryland Division of Corrections for a period of 40 years.
With more time for the other counts, it's a total of 45 years in prison.
A 45-year sentence puts James Ryan in a category with some violent murderers.
45 years for James Ryan is basically life. Patients rely on doctors and their expertise and their advice. And I think she's sending a very loud message to the medical community.
And State's Attorney John McCarthy wants to send a message to lawmakers. The depraved heart murder charge may have worked in this trial, but it's a difficult crime to prove in other overdose cases.
We need tougher laws.
As early as 2015, McCarthy began pushing to streamline Maryland law so state prosecutors can more easily convict dealers and distributors who supply the drugs that lead to overdose deaths. But it hasn't been easy.
We're not at a place in Maryland right now that the legislature seems very interested in creating new crimes and new penalties.
Ian Icavello, who read murder between the lines of this case and retired after the trial, says he still thinks of Sarah often.
I did everything I could for her.
So does her ex-boyfriend Henry Peterson, who looks back at their breakup with regret.
I guess I always thought she was going to be there.
A regret Sarah seemed to share. He showed us a letter she wrote him years earlier when their relationship ended.
You made me feel alive. Now that you're gone, I feel so many pieces and parts have died with you.
As if to preserve his connection to Sarah, Peterson still practices a concerto he played at her grave. Where today, a mother who faced great loss with even greater courage struggles to face the future without Sarah and her brother, so close in life and death that she actually buried their ashes in the same casket.
I hear Sarah telling me, "Mama, it's okay."
What do you want your daughter's legacy to be?
I want people to remember my Sarah as a light, a brilliant young woman who cared about others and loved life. Loved it.
"48 Hours. Don't miss an episode.